I'd like now to call on the man behind Tsavo, a moment in time. Let's all stand and give him an applause as he makes it to the stage to give us quick remarks and context on Tsavo, a moment in time. This is for the director of the African Environmental Film Foundation, Bwana Simon Trevor. Don't tire, let's keep it going, the applause until he gets to the podium. It also will have a bit of video play, and I'm sure you want a snippet of the documentary series that is going to be launched in a moment right after his remarks. So asante sana, and you may have your seats. Shukran.
As all of us today are environmentally conscious people, may I greet you in this way. Homo Deus. Homo sapiens, and all the wild creatures of our country. Jumbo Sana. On the 1st of April 1959, I joined Kenya National Parks as a junior assistant warden. I was 20 years old. I'm 86 today. I've always been a national parks man at heart. At some stage, I became a wildlife film director, working my way through the commercial television and feature film world, but focusing my attention on Tsavo whenever possible. In 1998, I changed from the commercial to the educational by starting the African Environmental Film Foundation, AEFF, with the mandate Environmental Education through film. Since then, with a great deal of help and cooperation from KWS, we have been producing and distributing films in local languages, free of charge, about Kenyan issues, with Kenyans, by presenting the facts in a balanced and impartial way. We've been able to present a realistic picture of what the environment means to Kenyans. Over 25 years, our 30 films have been seen by millions of people, predominantly in East Africa, but also further afield across Africa and internationally. We've been to CITES supporting Kenya's stand against ivory trading by placing international multi-language copies in the pigeonholes of delegates just before they cast their votes. They were reminded of Kenya's stand against all trading in ivory. By 2014 or thereabouts, it occurred to me that I was in possession of a huge record of film, sound effects, and still pictures, which should be shared with everyone. So began the largest, most ambitious project of my life, the compilation of a series of films charting the course of elephant ivory throughout the centuries. AEFF's American board, led by Chairman Arnie Glimpscher, with the original 1998 members, never failed to raise considerable funds. They rallied behind me, although I imagine not without some concern as to what I was committing them to this time. Some of the board members have carried out responsibilities well beyond the call of duty since we began in 1998, a remarkable example of their belief in what AEFF stands for. I don't forget for a moment the help I received from everyday Kenyans who gave their time and support during the times AEFF too was struggling to get the message out. Now in 2018, a key ingredient for the success of this huge project was the vital technical expertise of AEFF's long-term supporter, Joanne Poggio. Backed up by Lucy Muhindi, our Nairobi manager. I was the dreamer. Joanne was the engineer. Joanne, a documentary maker of repute, will lead AEFF into the future with an emphasis on what new approaches for films will need to take to move with the times. I dived into archival film libraries, books, articles, scientific reports, press releases, newspapers, and the internet. It was obvious that a major story about how Ivory has affected the people of Africa, not just elephants. After 6 years of editing, I think I can claim our project became the most detailed series about this one aspect of canyon conservation that has ever been assembled. We needed more funding than I had ever expected, and all of us in AEFF have made gestures to enable us to see the huge project through to completion. In many ways, these films are a dedication to those in the field who have given so much and even lost their lives during the time I gained inspiration from their experiences. The history of Kenya, like everywhere, is made up of eras, each covering a second in evolution. The story of Tsavo is a microcosm of the world. Tsavo is a moment in time. Tsavo, a moment in time, became a historical record of 36 films. Some years ago, Joanne and I put this short film together to help raise funds to make the series.
The 1,000-year-old story of Kenya's Tsavo is inextricable with Ivory. Spanning centuries, ivory was Africa's chief export commodity and principal form of currency. The majority of it stolen. Elephants sustained the people of bow and arrow hunters, ancient representatives of an ivory-producing culture that had existed here for 1,000 years. On the formation of the Tsavo National Park in 1948, the Wata inevitably became poachers. Later, when rampant corruption blossomed, it further destroyed not only their way of life, but threatened the very existence of elephants. Ivory financed the slave trade, turned brother against brother, financed the beginning of a country, financed colonial expansion. Ivory was the bulk of trade on a railway. Tsavo's wild animals were fed to feuding Western armies, and ultimately, Ivory almost led to the collapse of the national park system. By 1989, rangers and bandits, with modern automatic firearms on both sides, were fighting pitched battles in defense of Tsavo's wild animals. A corrupt worldwide demand was the enemy. Finally, in 2018, a certain amount of peace has descended on Tsavo. Poaching has been brought down by government action. Wild animals are fewer, but still found in sustainable numbers. Ivory is politics, but once the number of elephants falls below a certain threshold, Ivory will no longer support the Ivory gangsters. What will take the place of Ivory? Will the greatest threat of all be illegal invasions by cattle? Are we ready to protect them for the future? Droughts periodically reduce animal numbers. When better times return, the survivors respond to better conditions. They would do so again and again, provided that Tsavo is there to give space and security. Industrialization is part of life affecting Tsavo. The trick will be to accord the environment the same importance as any other natural resource. Tsavo was created nearly 100 years ago primarily for the protection of wild animals in Kenya. Today, as the core of the Greater Tsavo Conservation Area, it's the only park in Kenya large enough to survive on its own and provide a source of vital benefits for people outside. The African Environmental Film Foundation will tell the stories of some of the people of all races, creed or culture who guided Tsavo through recurring crises. It's a true account of greed, lust, betrayal, love and dedication. In many ways, it's a tragic story, but with hope for the future. The past, right up to the present, will be there for us to see in these films.
Thank you. The overriding demand for Ivory was there long before Tsavo was created. In 1931, Ernest Moore, from a centuries-old American ivory trading family in Zanzibar, revealed the details of a trade in his diaries.
What ivory really has meant to Africa is little understood. But, in fact, the whole of our known history of Central Africa, the exploration and subjugation of the country by Arabs, the spreading and the extent of the slave trade, the journeys of the European explorers, the missionaries, the coming of the powers and the subsequent territorial division of the central part of the continent, all are inextricably entangled with man's greed for ivory. The quest for ivory turned thousands of square miles of fertile country into a wilderness of rapine, plunder, fire-blackened ruin. Hundreds of thousands of elephants were slain, but for every elephant that perished for its ivory, a dozen human lives were wrecked or snuffed out in the search, the seizure, and the transport of it. The fate of the unhappy land in those years of ivory raiding makes an almost unbelievable story, yet true it is.
In his autobiography, the prolific slave and ivory trader Kipper Tibb, merely by recounting his devastating exploits, reveals the extent to which ivory was a curse on African people. Conservation in Africa is changing at an astonishing rate. It forever seems to totter on the edge of a cliff, held back from falling over by the desire of succeeding generations of younger people to recognize and accept the increasing importance of the environment and everything in it, thereby creating a safer life for themselves. There shouldn't be anything surprising about this statement, for change is irreversible. So, after acknowledging the devastating results of history, it is surely quite remarkable that Kenya's Tsavo National Park has survived since it was created by the stroke of a pen in 1948. That is surely to Kenya's credit. And finally, please let me show you the ending of the last chapter of the series. Every elephant started out as a tiny calf, nurtured by this society of elephants. It is this society that will determine, combined with the efforts of human beings, whether there will be elephants in Tsavo in the future. Tsavo is here to stay. One just has to cross the boundary from the industrialized world to be transported immediately into the world of wild animals. What do you do when 1,000 elephants wish to cross the road? You wait and enjoy them. After crossing the road, this elephant, out of hundreds, deliberately stopped to watch me. Obviously thinking. He was assessing me. After several minutes, he could see I wasn't going to do anything alarming. So in the most subtle of ways, he dismissed me. But he was still careful to watch me. How much do elephants know about us? How many people remember what it has taken to safeguard Tsavo for today? I hope I have inspired you to watch all the 36 films in your own time. This Kenyan series will shortly have its world premiere on NTV. Thanks to NTV. We plan for distribution first in Kenya, then in East Africa, then across Africa, and then the world. Of course, we will need help to continue with promoting Kenya's combined conservation efforts in these troubled times. I thank KWS DG Director General for inviting us to join the Conservation Partners Forum event today. I must also thank the members of KWS and the members of Environment, the AEF, the members of AEFF, who worked so hard to bring all this together. Asanteni.